Disclaimer, this series revolves around criticising things, and just because I'm doing that doesn't necessarily mean I dislike the thing. Thank you. Click below to watch the original Sins video, or to buy Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle.
Awesome, this guy found the original Jumanji game buried on the beach, where it was left in the last movie. But the people approaching it at the end of the last movie were speaking French, implying it went across the ocean. This is still America, so USA!
Although, granted, this does feel like an oversight rather than intentional, may I remind you it is technically possible to speak French in America.
I found something, you gotta check this out.
You gotta check this out, cliché.
When two people are talking to each other in the same room, this does feel like a pointless cliché. But when people are having to have a shouted conversation with each other from a distance, this is pretty reasonable.
Board game? Who plays board games?
Who says this out loud to themselves when presented with a board game? Also, tons of people played board games in 1996. And even now they do.
You say even now they do, as if board games haven't had a massive resurgence recently.
What the hell's exactly going on over there? Is there a gremlin masturbating to a sleeping Alex?
Yes. Yes, that is exactly what's happening, Jeremy. Well done.
Say what? Alex was clearly playing a PlayStation earlier, which only plays discs, so why did Jumanji settle on this Atari-style upgrade?
You say that as if the next thing he does isn't go and plug that cartridge into a console that can take cartridges. But you're right, earlier he was playing a PlayStation, which absolutely means he can't have any other consoles at all. Despite the fact that we literally see him using another console.
Huh, who knew there was an extra Kardashian living in New Hampshire?
This person's vain, that person's vain, and that's a sin. That was the point he was making there, right? I didn't miss anything, did I?
This world swallows up kids like you.
Well, that went well. Better go get a glass of buttermilk before I randomly and cryptically threaten the next teen.
You see, that right there was funny. It points out something that's arguably an issue with the film in a humorous way. This is the kind of thing I originally subscribed to CinemaSins for back in the day. If every sin was like this channel probably wouldn't exist.
This is school. We are supposed to be learning things that actually matter. Okay.
Somehow, things these kids have probably done the entire school year become a big problem on the same day.
A big problem? Of course, because detention is reserved only for really big offenses.
Bethany talks on the phone during a quiz, Martha goes all Lisa Simpson during gym class, and Spencer's obvious homework he's done for Fridge is finally discovered after several attempts.
It's not a coincidence at all that the four characters we've been introduced to get detention. It's the detention that brings them into the plot of the movie. We're only introduced to these characters in the first place because they're the ones that get detention. If some other kid happened to get detention, we would have been introduced to them as well. It's not even a coincidence that the ones who know each other well, Spencer and Fridge, get detention on the same day, because they both got detention for the same reason. The biggest coincidence here is that Spencer and Martha fancy each other. And I have no problem with that either, because in a community as small as a school, you'd be pretty hard-pressed to pick out four random people and find that none of them have a connection to one another.
Yeah, you also used the same metaphor, the spreading wildfire, in your papers on the Boston Tea Party, the Battle of Gettysburg, and the women's suffrage movement.
Are you seriously suggesting that two students using spread like wildfire as a metaphor constitutes evidence of plagiarism? Spread like wildfire is a common phrase.
Which one do I pick?
I don't know, I don't think it matters that much.
This is, of course, why the avatars are so completely converse to the real-world characters.
Yeah, but this doesn't matter. Well, no, it does end up mattering, but they have no idea what's about to happen. But this does look like a 90s or maybe early noughties game. Not many of them had a huge amount of variation between their characters. Most of them allowed you to change character if you wanted to after a round or game or whatever, and even if it didn't, they could switch remotes. They probably only expect to play for like 20 minutes, so even if they do get stuck with a character, what does it matter anyway? And they're probably not there saying, we should really think about this choice because we're probably going to get sucked into this game and forced to survive in a life or death situation as these characters.
Franklin Moose Finbar.
It clearly says mouse, but I'm sure this will lead to hilarious comic hijinks later. Also, it's kinda crazy that this game doesn't have pictures of the character you are selecting, but I'm sure this will lead to hilarious comic hijinks later.
Yo man, I picked up this new game today, and you'll never guess what. What? It's the craziest thing, you're not gonna believe this. What is it? What's so special about this game? Does it like suck you into it or something? No man, it's way crazier than that. Get this. The character selection screen doesn't have pictures. What the fuck? It just doesn't have pictures. That's crazy. I know. Also, did those two sins feel a little bit repetitive to you? Let's just play the end of each sin again.
But I'm sure this will lead to hilarious comic hijinks later. Yeah,
those two sins were back to back and both ended with the same... How many words was that? But I'm sure this will lead to comic hijinks later. 10 words. Those two sins both had the last 10 words exactly the same. Think of just ways to paraphrase stuff, man, so your videos don't get boring.
Why is this game sucking the characters in at random times? So you're telling me Jumanji has the power to fuse with video games, to become a video game, but it doesn't have enough power to take all 4 of them at the same time?
Wow, you know what? I can't even begin to tell you how much I don't care about that. It's not something that impacts the story at all, and it's not something that's less believable than people being sucked into a video game in the first place. Plus, it's literally sucking people into it. Do you know how much power that takes? Do you know how this magic/technology works? Is it really an issue, or even something worth mentioning, that Jumanji either can't or decides not to suck everyone in at the same time?
Who are you? Who is she?
Who are you guys?
I hate to be that guy. Wait a minute, I love being that guy.
Self-acceptance.
I hate to be that guy. Wait a minute, I love being that guy. But is this how you talk to people you don't know? Do you go to a party, find a stranger, and demand to know who they are?
I would argue that this is a somewhat different social context to a party.
I am Spencer. I'm Spencer.
Yep, that's Spencer.
Oh yeah, remember that character trait about Spencer being paranoid?
That wasn't paranoia, that was just being startled easily.
Oh yeah, remember that character trait about Spencer being paranoid that hasn't come up since the very beginning of the movie? That's how he's ultimately identified as being the real deal.
So we may have only seen this character trait from Spencer a little bit at the start of the movie, but Fridge has known him for since they were children? So of course he knows what Spencer is like as a person. But you said that as if you were sort of saying, the audience doesn't really know, so the character shouldn't know either. Also, that felt more like a joke at Spencer's expense more than a serious comment.
Why can't we just leave? Stop the game without doing all this stuff.
Jack Black is the only one that's actively trying to mimic his IRL character.
He is not.
This is what I'm good at. Playing video games. It's what I do. It's literally the main thing that I do.
Okay, fine. We saw you playing a game briefly earlier in this movie, but there is nothing in this movie that suggests you're a hardcore gamer.
In the very shot you're using to say there's no evidence in this movie that Spencer is a hardcore gamer, we have an Uncharted poster. Another poster that, although I can't tell what game it's for, it has the PlayStation logo at the bottom, so I'm guessing that's another gaming poster. Let's see, is there any more evidence to suggest Spencer might like games a bit? Well, 4 of the shelves we can currently see are filled with games. Granted, he also has a Mac and a Wii, which makes me think he can't be that hardcore of a gamer. I'm joking. But seriously, making that claim over this shot is kinda hilarious to me. I'm almost surprised you didn't send Spencer's room for being an orgy of evidence that he's a gamer. Also, why would you have any trouble believing that Spencer is a gamer, even if it hadn't been established previously in the film? Is it really that remarkable that it has to be established earlier? Because it's not. I would have no trouble believing Spencer was a gamer, even if we'd had no previous evidence of it, just because he said he was. Lots of people are gamers, that's not difficult to believe. Also, even if we didn't have that one scene of Spencer playing a game, and even if his room wasn't filled with gaming stuff, we'd still get the impression that he's a gamer, just from stuff like how Fridge directs all of the gaming-related questions at him. And Spencer is almost surprised when he doesn't know what the console is, as if he's expecting he would know what the console was, because he's a hardcore gamer. There's loads of stuff in this movie that tells us Spencer is a gamer.
Strength is my weakness. How is strength my weakness?
This is an excellent question. If they still have most of the characteristics of their real-life selves in this universe, how do these strengths and weaknesses apply? It's either all or nothing, right?
What on earth would make you assume it's all or nothing? Except that that's an assumption that you would have to make a sin, because it's not a sin unless you make that assumption.
Why would the game have this perspective? Every other shot has been from the viewpoint of one of the main characters, so this flash to villain vision is hooey.
That's not true. We've been focusing on the main characters, sure, but we've not been seeing things from their point of view. Plus, up until now, they're the only characters we've even seen in the game. So who else's perspective were you expecting?
I gotta take a leak first.
I've been dreading this all day, but so do I.
Please tell me one f***ing video game outside of, Leisure Suit Larry, where a character has to take a piss in the middle of a mission.
Please tell me one video game that sucks you into it and forces you to play your way out. Jumanji might not be quite like other games, is what I'm saying.
Also, this sets up a scene of Bethany discovering how to pee as a man, which is so overlong and unfunny that I'm convinced it was originally supposed to be in an animated kids movie.
How dare you, this scene was great and I will poo on you. I will poo on you. That's not the phrase I was going for when I started saying that sin, but fuck it. I guess it's making the final edit if you're hearing this. I was just trying to pull an insult out of my brain, and I said, I will poo on you. This is big slicey taste of cheese all over again.
I will summon every creature and every soldier to hunt them down.
Why haven't you done that already?
Because in universe, he's supposed to be a poorly written video game villain. It's actually the perfect excuse to send wave after wave of increasingly difficult bad guys after our heroes.
What you need is in the basket. One false move, you're in a casket.
This riddle reminds me that there's really been none of this shit since the beginning of the game. Why wasn't there a rhyme about the hippos of the river, or the mighty roar out in the valley?
Because it's allowed for a movie to have something in it without having previously had that same thing in it before.
Yep, the best way to sneak up on the people you're trying to capture is to scream hey at the top of your lungs.
What part of this made you think they were trying to sneak up?
Hello, Doctor. been a long time. I believe you have something that belongs to me.
So is Van Pelt supposed to be British or not? Because if so, I'm not buying this kind of accent for a second.
Again, he's not really channeling any specific accent. What he's channeling is a cheesy video game villain, and he's doing that brilliantly.
Ah yes, the old main villain kills one of his henchmen because he screwed up Chestnut. How else would we know this guy is evil if he didn't do this?
Again, cheesy video game villain. This movie is doing all the tropes on purpose so it can parody them.
You're our missing piece. You were the thing that we needed to find.
Yeah, but the game told them about the missing piece. And had they gone in with all 5 players, what would the missing piece be then?
Clearly, then there wouldn't be a missing piece. Their quest was only to unite with Alex because they were away from Alex. Otherwise, they would have probably just gone through the same levels they went through anyway, but with Alex with them.
Also, Bethany is right, but how is that possible? And why would anyone make the connection they'd need to find a 5th character? If Camp Rock 2, The Final Jam's Nick Jonas doesn't happen to be wandering around the bazaar after they did the snake challenge, they never find this guy, unless the game itself somehow made it happen. Also, there were only 4 controllers on the console, so the game was setting these assholes up for failure from the get-go.
If you remember, the console wasn't actually a part of the Jumanji game. The console belonged to Alex.
Distracting guys is like the main thing I do. He plays video games, I distract guys.
But you don't exactly have the toolkit.
Not me.
Bethany basically played a whole new level of pronoun game here, but apparently she knew she was in a movie and was ready to make a big dramatic reveal. Also, do they really not have enough weapons to take out 2 guards? Finbar has a whole sack of weapons he could give Bravestone, and Ruby Roundhouse knows all the martial arts.
So this must feel completely real to them. They probably don't feel like they're in a game. They probably feel like they're actually there in a jungle. And these are actual high school kids, so just going up to them and killing them is probably quite a foreign concept to them.
I think you're ready.
This flirt mission literally has no time constraints, so why not practice on The Rock and Kevin Hart before going down there? Oh yeah, so they can create another funny situation. Damn, I keep forgetting that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure if you suggested to Martha that she should practice flirting on Fridge and Spencer, she would really love that idea.
Hello, little lady. What are you doing out here all alone?
How does every NPC in this game not know who Ruby is? She's one of only 5 main characters in the game.
She's a main character and therefore everyone should know who she is one of the dumbest arguments I've ever heard you make.
That's nice, but wouldn't this destroy the helicopter?
Cheesy 90s video game.
Mosquito.
Oh yeah, let's not forget they gave this already unlucky character a weakness that gives him a highly likely chance of dying, considering the mosquito population in Jumanji.
Despite the fact that, yeah, this would be a completely bullshit video game mechanic, we have been given no indication of the mosquito population in Jumanji.
It's the elephant in the mouse.
Fridge is able to reason with a wild elephant, apparently because he is a zoologist.
What's a zoologist?
I'll take that.
Man, Van Pelt spends an awful lot of time saying, give it to me and I'll take that, when he could literally walk over and take that. Or have one of his thousands of animals he controls take that.
How do you expect the snakes to take the jewel? They don't have arms? Plus, remember, if she dies with it, she respawns with it.
Jumanji!
Hell of a game. Too bad it doesn't have much replay value.
Do you actually not just say roll credits there? I don't even know how to take that. I'm just gonna accept it, I suppose, but that feels like the biggest scene, just begging for you to say roll credits, and you just kind of overlooked it?
Oh no, not stock villain character 118, played by an overqualified actor, aka the anti-Killmonger.
This scene had 2 main elements to it. One was that this actor is really good, which I don't feel like you can spin in any way to make that a sin. And the second was that this is a stock character, which, again, it's supposed to be.
Where's Alex?
So did they all just walk the hell out of detention? Because I'm pretty sure they didn't make a dent in those magazine staples.
The fact that there was a jump cut doesn't mean they didn't do it. Plus, even if they didn't do it, what's the problem? Surely any normal human being would just walk out of there and go and look for Alex. And it's not like there are any teachers there guarding them, or they wouldn't have been able to play the video game in the first place.
Bethany. Spencer. Yeah. Ruby Roundhouse. That would make you Fridge.
Did he never learn Martha's real name? Martha? Why didn't you say Martha?
The quality of that Batman impression. So the sin total was 40 sins, and the penalty will be cutting the video off short. Here. Mainly because I have to upload this in like a few minutes. I'm really well organised. I'd also just like to let you know that although there'll be a Friday video this week, it's possible there won't be a Friday video next week. This is because I have already made the Friday video for next week, but I'm considering moving it to Wednesday so that I don't have to make another full video by that time. The point of this is to give me more time to work on CinemaSins Sins Part 2. I'm not 100% sure I'll do that, but at the moment it looks like the most likely outcome. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this, and here's some music.